the shit. I should show y'all. It looked like Winter Wonderland outside of mine.
It's 70 degrees in Boston. No, 73 in Boston. Middle of November.
It was 75 yesterday and it's 42 today.
No,
that's our weather.
My shit looking like Beauty and the Beast.
Let me see.
Oh, it is Winter Wonderland out there.
I love that. I know I'm a weirdo, but I love that.
No,
so
you can take it.
I love it.
You can take it.
Separate it from climate like danger.
I like it when I'm not gonna have to shovel it. I don't need to go.
That's
anywhere.
exactly right.
Like when I'm just gonna be cozied up inside.
No, I'm like my black ass ancestors did not agree to this.
And whereas my Irish potato famine ancestors were like, "This is your moment. I have been breeding you for this. You are designed to survive a harsh winter.
This is your moment." And mine is like, if you don't get the fuck up out of here,
find some warmth
and leave.
That's exactly right.
And leave.
Yeah, but if that was my weather, I don't know if I would have made it out of bed today.
No, I'm not into it. I'm not into it.
That's good. Hello to anyone here. Oh, hi, Kelly. Haven't finished the book.
Hello.
The Library, The Audacity.
Oh, that ain't right. You gotta fight them. No,
I always was like, can you spoil nonfiction? Like, I never.
It depends on it. Like if it's true crime nonfiction and you're there for like the mystery, maybe.
Yeah.
If it's more narrative, but this is more like informational.
Yeah. I feel you on the slump. Oh, awesome.
I like your name. Where are you from? Angelati. It seems European, maybe.
Our resident linguist Bree. She'll figure it out.
I won't. The thing is, I be thinking I'm lucky most times. Lucky.
So anyone filing in, if you did read it, let me know your general thoughts. General thoughts rating. This was a reread. Did I finish the reread? No, but I still want to because I didn't have a physical copy the first time. So I've been going back through it and tabbing. I think I don't remember the first time if I gave it like 4 stars or something. I find it so really nonfiction. You're gonna get a 4 or 5 out of me unless I found it completely useless or just like really hard to read. So I think I gave it a 4, but yeah, rereading it, there are some things I didn't remember, and it's great. And my first time reading it, I kind of was very, I don't want to say hostile towards it. I just was like, before I read it, I was like, yeah, asexuality, whatever. And so some of the things I was like, kind of rolling my eyes, but I was like, I don't want to read this. And I kept reading, and I'm glad I did. So this time, I don't have that block. So I'm just absorbing it all.
You think you had some internal biases there?
Yes, for sure. Just like, because like, I'm like, I mean, I just really didn't understand because I'm not ace. After reading this, I know I'm not ace. I'm like, I don't get it. I look and I'm like, yes, let's hop in the sheets. So
you and I had a lot of interesting boxer conversations about this.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely had that. I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand how that's a real thing. So it definitely was a bias, and I'm not afraid to admit that. But I'm glad I read it and am reading it again.
We'd love to see the trajectory of growth.
Bree,
you need to read this book. I've told you 12 times.
I think Bree was reading it. If I popped in on some of her sprints, I'm pretty sure Bree was reading it. Look at that.
Nice.
Slavic.
I knew it was Slavic. I knew it.
Our linguist.
I feel like Bree would be an all-star on Carmen Sandiego if that was still.
Oh man, yes.
Bring it back. Tell Netflix. Bring it back.
No, every time I get those things right, I just hear my cousin. He always go, "Cuz, if I go anywhere in the world, I'm going with you." And I'm like, "Cuz, you don't need me." He's like, "Cuz, you're gonna know something about everybody who's there. It could be the tiniest shit. You're gonna know something."
Yes, exactly. How do you not look at that man and be ready to get in them?
So I think like this, so I had like a very different experience from Jess, where like I read this and I realized, oh, I guess I'm ace, and I didn't know that because I think the book makes it really clear. Libido and lust is not the same as sexual attraction. right? Like those are different things. Because I've always had a relatively, I would say average libido, maybe when I was a teenager, higher than normal libido. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I always was like, I'm not ace. I really do want to like fool around, kiss people, whatever. But I never like felt sexually attracted to people. If I look at someone, I could be like, they're pretty or not pretty, but their visualness, their smell or anything, that's not what chooses if I want to be with someone. So I guess demisexual based off the book. And I was like, this is so fascinating. Yeah. I'm like really thinking about my life and how I've existed and the things that I haven't like thought about and contextualized for myself.
I love it. Look at us learning.
But like Chris Evans, yeah, if he showed up at my house, I'd want to make out with him, like for sure. I don't know if I'd want to have sex with him because like that's a different like intimacy boundary for me.
Yeah. No questions.
Yeah. So I also meant to do a reread, but did not. But I did read this originally in audio, and I've read sections of it rereading it. And I would give this, I think I wanted this book, like upon fully processing and reflecting, I think I wanted this book to be something slightly different than what it is, which was what kept me from loving it the first time. The book I think I wanted it to be was this, which is A Little Book of Ace by Clara Dillon. And this is like, this is very much like, here's what is asexuality? What is, and it talks about more the spectrum of ace and aro, like identities and how you figure out if you're ace or aro. And I, at the time, was wondering if I was ace. And I was like, I thought this was going to help me figure that out. And it didn't really for me, but it sounds like it might for other people. And it turns out I am aro. And I'm still figuring out the demi whatever on the sexuality side. But this didn't. So like, I've been rereading sections of this. I wish that this was a bigger tent in its exploration of like all the different possible like permutations of asexuality and aromanticism. But I do think for like what it is a good version of it.
Yeah, I think I gave it 5 stars because I'm like, in terms of like an introductory like piece that you shouldn't say is like your entire knowledge on asexuality. I don't think the book says that either. Like I thought it was really good for that, of just being like, here are a few ways of thinking about it and also kind of deconstructing maybe your brain paths about it. Because that's what I was doing a lot while reading Ace, was really being like, oh, I guess I never knew what people consider sexual attraction, because for me, my definition would have been very different from what the book presents, which is probably, it's like, oh, I didn't know that's an experience people are having out there. Because that's not. Also, to be clear, if they smell bad, they will have to take a shower unless we're in a very different situation.
Some people are to that.
Hey,
you know?
Mara, the book is A Little Book of Ace by...
Yes, it's by Clara Dillon, daughter of John Dillon.
Oh my God, when you said Dillon, I was like, hold on, that sounds familiar. Oh my God.
Yes, and actually, like, very much that, Angela, of like, and I'm sure we'll get into this when we discuss it, but also because like I grew up in purity culture, like, and essentially the whole idea of A is lack of. So it's very hard to explore what a lack of something is. Like right now I'm not getting verification texts on my phone and I'm trying to talk to AppleCare and they're like, can you send me an example? And I'm like, well, no, because I'm not getting it. So like, I can't show you a screenshot. Like I can't, but like, I think it is something that's, I think, a worthwhile exercise for anybody to engage in, of just like thinking through different kinds of attraction and like how do you even identify a lack of something?
Yeah.
That's I wouldn't have thought of that before. That made me, when you said that with AppleCare, made me think of this. It was like, my package wasn't delivered. Amazon wants me to send them a picture. It's like, here's where my package.
Here's my empty front door.
It's not here.
Yeah.
Okay. Arrow Ace. Okay. Refusing compulsory. Okay, I'm writing. Any book that's referenced, I'm going to write down, and then I'll.
And I know someone in my comments brought up that there's an asexual book coming out that'll, I think, speak more to people in Gen X, because like this is definitely a book that's written by a millennial and is more about like the millennial generation of asexuals. Which I mean, even within that, no one's a monolith, but like then outside of generations, you have different experiences and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and I hope we get here too, because this was a part of my journey too. Like I really like romance novels. How am I a romantic? But we can
Okay, let me write that down. Romance novel / Bree, what'd you think of the book?
Well, I knew it was going to happen one day, so I guess here we are. So I am Ace. So I felt very seen reading this book. And I cried a lot. And I mean cried like after, because I was like, damn, I am not to be out here showing y'all my physique, but she got some back.
I was gonna say we're appreciating it, so
we are blessed.
Okay, all right.
If you're comfortable.
She's a curvaceous woman.
Yeah.
She's a Black woman who get hypersexualized. So I'm like, how do I exist in that?
Yeah.
Because like I teetered on telling like certain family members, like, just so you know, you and the ding dong, keep it over there. I'm good. You know what I mean? And it also empowered me to take my sexuality back, in the sense of like, I constantly felt like I always had to like have sex with someone. Like, oh, it's mine. What I gotta do, I gotta just let them in there. And I'm literally thinking about everything and get this gross ass penis out of me. But not like gross like that. But you know what I mean? Like, it was just doing too much. It was doing too much too soon. And then I realized that I masked a lot of sexual parts about me. Like, I'm out here being like, yeah, I'll fuck them. And it's like, no, you won't. That is not who you are. So I cried a lot. And it made me be like, you know, if I see a guy and I'm like, oh, he could be cute, let me in the club getting it. But then, I Pondy River on him real quick and I'm out. He like, wait a minute. I'm like, and that was it for me. Like, see ya. So it was just really good to feel seen.
That is a word.
Yeah. That is a word. It feels good to feel seen. It's also good to know that there are moments in my life where I am demisexual as well. So it's just understanding the spectrum of things that's happening. Yeah, I guess I just outed myself, but it's all right. But yeah, it's just now I'm waiting for like a Black woman to write about asexuality. It's not gonna be me. But I'm ready for a Black woman to give her 2 cents. I found comfort. Black women in the chat who is looking for that as well. I found comfort in TikTok. There was a lot of Black women on TikTok who are ace and exist on that spectrum. And the book, a romantic agenda, I felt very seen. I know a lot of people were like, it was the pacing, it was this, it was that for me. And I was like, it was literally her existing for me. That's what made that book just phenomenal to me. Her existing. So yeah, nobody asked for all of that, but I gave it. So my grits is ready.
Okay, but this is an important question. What you putting on that grits?
So there's some salt and there's some pepper. I'm dairy free. So
okay. I was just wondering, you ain't
putting
any sugar on that grits.
A little bit of my toe fruity cream cheese on that bad boy. Yes, I did. I'm gonna top it with my chow cheese here, for sure. Wait a minute, I'm not. This is a bag.
Ooh. I just, because it's, the question, the never ending sugar on grits. No, it's a no for me.
Sugar, when I was a kid, hell yeah, I was fucking that up. What are you talking about?
Oh my God.
I'm an ambivert gritter.
On grits. Yes, I looked it up. Bree, refusing compulsory sexuality is by a Black woman.
This is what I'm. Yeah, I'm like
really
trying to look this up right now.
Can you send that to me?
Yeah, yup.
I'm in the middle of a grit situation.
I feel you.
I'm not seeing it on Amazon.
I found their website.
But say I saw it when I just Googled, but I didn't try to buy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I be getting nervous with something. I'm like, is this person? And it's not anyone's They don't owe us to say, hey, I am this. But I'm like, let me find a photo so maybe I can get a little more confirmation. But yes.
I gotta add
it is on bookshop.org.
I definitely had to add some more salt.
This is Sharonda J. Brown, the author.
Sharonda. She from the South, baby, or the Midwest.
Yes. It says is a Southern grown essayist, editor, and storyteller.
Why am I this good?
I don't know.
You said Southern or Midwest, which is like 70% of this country.
I was thinking more like Wisconsin, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
New York.
Okay. That's so interesting too, the idea of compulsory sexuality, because like that's still something I'm wrapping my head around, because I've heard of comp het, which is compulsory heterosexuality in reference to lesbianism. But just the idea of compulsory sexuality in general, I think is an interesting like framing for it.
Yeah. I put that down because there was a story with the one person named Hunter about growing up in the church, and so that was interesting with the purity culture. But I had only heard of compulsory heterosexuality, and again from my frame of everyone experiences sexual attraction. So then hearing this, I was like, oh, wait, everyone doesn't. But then that also must be a really difficult thing especially if you're queer, then you already have, I'm not the norm that's heterosexual. And then also now I'm a queer person that also still isn't sexually attracted or doesn't have as much, the levels. So I was like, oh, wow. Just more.
Yeah, it's levels to it. I'm really thankful. And I cried about this too. I'm thankful that I have two really close best friends, Ben and Winnie the Bish. I'm always talking about Winnie. Who like will literally stop me in my thought process now that I've shared to them, what it means to be ace to me. Because we'll be talking about sex or something and they'll be like, Bree, are you masking? Like right away. And I'll be like, well, actually, yeah, but I'm here for the combo. Got nothing to add. But I'm here for you. Yes, bend over, get it.
TikTok will have you reevaluating your entire existence. And some of it I have to remember.
There's some beautiful human beings.
Yes, I have to remind Mara, I think of you and your friend. I forgot her name in this moment. Who's the therapist or psychologist that I know?
Bess.
Yes. I'm like, Jessica, you are not all of, because I do have confirmed mental illnesses, but TikTok be trying to convince me I have many more, and I'm like, man, you need to go seek somebody with a degree and not TikTok.
Be doing too much.
I'm like,
therapist, I'd be like.
As Brie, you probably relate to this because my best friend's a psychologist, and she was like, when I tell you the number of assessments I'm getting in from people who have like anxiety or depression, but TikTok has convinced they have like ADHD or autism or whatever. And not that some people, like, I don't want to invalidate, because like there are people who see those that are like, oh, this is really helpful for me to figure that out. But like a lot of people don't even like, people want it to be ADHD or autism a lot of times because they feel like it will give them a better, like, I think it's a helpful narrative to them to have it in a way that being diagnosed with anxiety or depression isn't.
Yeah, because it's so many, like, I think anxiety gets, I don't know if shoehorn's the right thing, as way more narrow than it is. Yeah. And so all these things, and then people are like, if you do these 3 things, you have ADHD. I'm like, bitch, stop it. Because I do, or every time it's like, if you have these things, did you know you're on the spectrum? And I'm like, no.
I think a lot of times, so as a therapist, and I'm sure your friend knows this, we spend a lot of time ruling out what is not there. And a lot of times it's trauma. Just saying.
Yes, that's exactly what she says too.
A lot of times it is trauma.
Yeah.
So like,
including like it sounds like legitimate personality disorders. Like, even if you have that doesn't negate the fact that there's also a lot of trauma work that you could be doing to like manage it.
A lot of times it's trauma. A lot of times it's a personality disorder. A lot of us who are like, my parents are narcissists. You might want to look at yourself. It's a little bit, because most time with personality disorders, it can run in the family. Mm-hmm. So it's like when people be saying shit online, and then I'll like watch all their TikToks because that's me, and they'll be like telling other stuff, and I'm like, I think it might be just saying a little PTSD in there. You gotta rule shit out. Like you can be anxious as fuck and be like, oh my God, I'm so anxious, I have anxiety, and then get into the room with a therapist and you're like, my mom beat me up as a kid, I got this, I got that, and then it all comes out. And come find out that was just a symptom of you having post-traumatic stress disorder. You're avoiding places. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. Those are symptoms of post-traumatic stress syndrome. So it's like a lot of times I'm with your friend. It is personality of the trauma.
Yeah.
So much.
Well, and similarly to the kind of like bring it back to the ACE conversation, like I think that's part of like, I feel like on the arrow side of things, there can be a little bit of arrow erasure in terms of the discussion of asexuality.
Oh, yeah.
Because like there's most of the kind of like checklists, I think are not comprehensive. So like I think it's, you know, it can be helpful, but it's also just like not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
But also like it can be a way to be looking for one specific thing and not like, basically, I guess I'm saying a lot of the things I saw around asexuality, I was like, well, I guess that's not really me. But why am I continually kind of like circling back around this topic? And it's because like, no, like I am a part of this overall umbrella, but like the focus is on something that's not as much a part of, I think, my experience. I don't know if any of that made sense, but.
No, that made sense. I presented extroverted. I'm out. You know what I mean? I do present it extroverted, which I think is funny because people that knows me know that's not the case. But it is rough because I don't know how many people will be saying, you be flirting with me. I be conversing, mother.
You're like, I'm talking.
Yeah. And usually I'm trying to flirt with you so you can bag my friend. I love being a wing woman. That's like my favorite thing. You tell me you think somebody's attractive, oh, I'm going in for the kill. You're leaving with dude. You leaving with her, you leaving with them.
Yes.
I'm going to support your mission.
Dang it, Bree. Where were you?
Period.
I needed you.
I'm like, what? We doing this consensually, but I'm supporting. And I'm going to need you to find my iPhone app. Got to be on my phone. And it got to be charged. I bought my extra battery pack. I'm going to give it to you while I go flirt with them. And that motherfucking phone better be at 90% before we leave this joint. Because if you think I'm going to tail behind y'all too, because I need to know his address, send me a picture on the low of his license plate, and then we can do this. As long as all of those are established,
I love all of this.
Do this.
Very
I am ready for you.
Dedicated window. We all need a Bree. Well, you know, if you want a Bree, you need a Bree. I'm closer to Demi. Oh, a Muslim family. I'm raiding for him.
Nice.
Purity culture is a very confusing factor in all of this.
I didn't grow up in purity culture. Like I grew up in a household where my mom was really like, please try not to do a lot of drugs or alcohol because of our family stuff, but threw condoms on the bed. And if you choose to do that, at least be safe, and like put me in all of the sex ed. So it was such like a normalized thing to me that I actually didn't pursue it until I was really ready. But I think also part of that was like, I think also a lot of it was trauma. Like my issue when I go to a therapist is like, yes, I know I have a lot of PTSD and trauma because of my history, but also sometimes there's other smaller traumas that we're not getting to because of my bigger trauma that is like the spotlight.
Yes.
Like, I know this is a good thing.
That's called
table that.
It's like, yeah. I know I've got this, and this.
I don't want to talk about
I know that. I'm talking about like, can we talk about this?
You know, but so like, so because of stuff in my life, I was very actually touch averse unless I was becoming physically intimate with someone, but like hugs from family members or things like that, which was really hard for my dad, who's like kind of the classic Latino who always wants to like hug his kids, hold hands, kiss on the cheek, like all that. And I was like, I was very like repulsed by that. Like I didn't want that. And I don't know how much of that was trauma or the fact that like I'm very particular about who I let touch me because of like maybe some like demisexual stuff and things. Like it's all very confusing and stuff that I just chose not to think about until I read this book.
Well, and you know, this gets into, and I know this is a really touchy subject, so I just want to say, like, I want to flag this by
me lean in.
A lot of awareness that this can get very easily misconstrued. But I think because, at least in the US, the way to have acceptance for the LGBTQIA plus community has been through legal routes. One of the most like legally effective arguments is to say, like, I am born this way. Like, this is an intrinsic characteristic to me. And it's a lot easier from a legal standpoint to get rights if it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I was born this way. But I also think that because that's been the pursuit and because so many people try to mitigate or like downplay innate characteristics around sexuality, I think it overlooks sometimes some of the nurture and nature components that are legitimate and valid about sexuality that like, and again, I'm trying to like not step on toes, but like I would like us to get to a point where somebody could choose to be queer in some way and that not be seen as illegitimate. Like what's wrong with something being a choice? But even beyond that, like that's a whole other tangent. But like at a core, I think to circle back to what you're saying, Angela, like you can't, I think that we underestimate how much our life experience influences our sexuality in terms of our like intrinsic orientation because there's been such an emphasis in recent years for understandable reasons on innate characteristics. So like maybe if you hadn't had the experiences you had, maybe you wouldn't be demisexual, but that doesn't make it any less valid. Like doesn't change the reality of like what your experience is.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand. That makes a lot of sense because I mean, like you said, with things with touch aversion, all of those things are going to affect how you are. And some people, certain traumas could increase the how sexual they are or perceive that or reverse that. So that's interesting. I've never thought of that in like relation to like people being queer, the whole like nature versus nurture conversation.
Yeah, but I don't think we talk a lot about that. I wish we had more spaces to talk about those things. I also like something is calling me to say this, and I don't know why, so I'm just gonna say it. I also think the difficulty with being ace or on the spectrum is also like for me being pan romantic because people are like, the fuck?
I get to learn a lot of words from my sibling because my sibling has basically all the nice letters in the LGBTQ. And I'm like, oh, you need to teach me this one now because when pansexual started to become used more commonly, I was like, oh, so you're pansexual. Okay, I guess tell me how that's different from bisexual. And then
yeah.
I still get confused on that because obviously if you're being literal, bi is like 2. But someone identifies is bisexual.
Yeah,
in my mind, that is just men and women, and pansexual is whatever gender presentation, trans, whatever.
I think bisexual implies that, well, I could be wrong, that implies that gender is more of a part of your thought process to sexual attraction. But like if you are asexual, then sexual attraction is not even on your table for like figuring out who you are forming bonds with. Right. So then it's not even like a thing that matters. But if you take it away, because like I'm gonna like stumble over my feet.
Because I'm like, in the context of ace, I get that. But like I myself would consider myself pansexual because it truly doesn't matter as long as I'm picking up that vibe and then it starts to tingles. It's like, what's up? Okay.
Not the tingle. Not the tingle in your middle.
It's like, hello. So I used to say bi, but I, as growing up, I'm like, I've seen trans men, trans women, whatever, they non-binary. And I'm like, if my eyeballs is liking it and it sends the signals, what can I do?
That's me. We're romantic, but non-sexually.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's why I said I'm pan-romantic because to me, it's not a sexual desire. It's just like, I can be romantic, what that means to me, to anybody. I don't give a shit. Anybody can get love from your girl. Now, sex, No. But love. ...
No.
Well, and I think how conflated we make like romance and sexuality is also part of the problem of people, if they want to figure things out, separating the two, because they are, if you talk to the average person on the street, they are like one and the same for most people when they really like aren't. And I think part of what allowed me to mask a lot of my like asexuality was like, I am such a romantic that I'm just like, I've seen all these movies, I've read all these books, like the romanticization that I have about kissing people makes up for the fact that I don't have that physical response within me, if that makes sense.
And see, for me, I had to realize, because like I love romantic books and like I love all of that, but I had this breakthrough a few months ago where I realized like, oh, I think about romance the same way I feel about like a murder mystery, which is like, what a fun idea. Like, I don't really want this in real life, but this is fun to read about. Like, and that was a really weird realization that not everybody, because it's not really talked about that much. It was honestly watching my best friend fall in love over the last 2 years and have like, you know, her person, because we've had such similar life experiences in a lot of ways, and listening to her talk about that, I was like, I don't understand this. Like this doesn't connect with me at all, which is just was weird to realize. Like I don't know.
I will say like I'm just realizing that romance is really not my genre. Like I cannot stand it. Only because I'll be like just ready. I'm here for the cutesy shit. But as soon as they start touching each other, I'm out. I am immediately out. Unless I'm going in being like, this is erotica. Banging is happening on page 1. I know I'm going to get the nice 90 pages of banging. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my vibrator and do me. And then get into my own world. Because I think people think because you're ace that you don't want to flicky flick. I love flicky flick.
That was also, that was another big barrier for me, because I was like,
I will flicky flick her. She gonna get hers, especially when I'm ovulating. Oh, she gonna get hers. And there's nothing I can do about it. She want it, I'm gonna give it. But I don't want nobody else giving.
That's what is so hard to realize is like there's a difference between having that connection to yourself versus wanting that with someone else. And it's so difficult to figure that.
Yeah, don't touch me. I don't want it. But I have a plethora of toys that's gonna make me holler for $1.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, not for $1.
Not for $1. If the good ones are like
I bought the rose. I'm gonna say it. I bought the rose.
Reading this, I was really happy because I read the new Jemison because I read it on November 2nd.
Of course,
that's when it came out. And there's an ace character in that. It's Queens, if you wanted to know. And I really loved, because it was really subtle, but this book brings up how people think asexual people actually don't care about orgasming, which is like false on many levels.
False. Heavy on the false. Heavy on the false.
And in the story, we have her family being like, oh, well, we kind of knew that you were either like lesbian or ace because you never brought anyone around. And then I looked in your room, there were no toys, and they just didn't find the toy. And later when she's packing, she like finds it. And it's like, yeah, because she's ace doesn't mean she doesn't have something around. Yeah. And that's it. It was just like healthy, solid representation. And then we moved on.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. And like, you know, I've been recently telling people, even though I already identified myself as ace literally in Puerto Rico in October last year. But like, it's the flickety. Listen, I'm going to get me. I'm going to get me. Okay. And I got a lot of stuff, you know.
That's true. That's true that everything is not a monolith. I was just talking about.
I love that the book really is just like, I mean, this can be true and not, and partially, and sometimes, and maybe only on Wednesdays, and you can be this, and
not
this.
Wednesdays.
Oh,
sometimes Thursdays.
Sometimes Thursday. They change it up. Because there was one point, I don't think I have it tabbed. I don't know if I got there. That it was because once they got to like queer platonic relationship, for some reason that always trips me up. And it was just like we have all this new vocabulary. And if you want to use it, you can. If you don't, you can just be like, whatever. Like, I love that it was both like, let's identify these things. And then also you don't have to. You can just, but some people it helps when you're like, okay, I am this because of this reason, and other people, like someone earlier said, I just consider myself multisexual, and I love that too.
Yeah, and it's also like it's not always false. Like absolutely, like I think a lot of times though our society tells us when you're ace it means no sex, no sexual enjoyment, nothing.
Yeah.
And there are not, everybody doesn't like agree. Some people love, pleasing themselves on the regular or getting orgasms on the regular. Some people holler at me once a year. Some people get that shit away from me. And in between,
totally averse, or repulsed. Like there's aversion and then there's like both. That's valid too. Like
something about those words just I don't like them. But I'll have to.
It doesn't sound. It's just like
something about them.
But maybe that's.
I think my brain goes to chemistry, and I don't get as angry about it because
okay.
If I think about it from a scientific perspective of like these two electrons don't want to be together.
That's what I'm envisioning. I'm envisioning two poles on a magnet that are just like.
Like
they can't.
I'm envisioning throwing up.
There's
that's what I know. Camps. This is Tuskegee experiments. I'm just, I went far, but that's what I was.
I have a negative. I hear that. I just thought this is early in the book, but it was just going back to like aesthetic attraction and saying not experience sexual attraction doesn't prevent aces from experiencing aesthetic attraction, which means finding someone beautiful. And for me before, it always was like, how do you look at a person and you don't think they're sexual attractive? And I didn't realize there was a separation. Like you can look at somebody, but I was already doing that because everyone that I think attractive, I don't think is sexually attractive. I'm like, that is a beautiful person, but I don't want to jump their bones. And then there's like, oh my God, yes, I do want to jump their bones. So I was like, I already was separating it, but I just didn't know it.
Well, and like my dad, he was telling me because my dad came out as gay when I was 10, and he's like, for a long time I was just looking at the men's magazines and I thought I was just appreciating it from the aesthetics, and he didn't realize that there was also like the sexual attraction for him that he was like masking because it was the 90s and he was raised Catholic.
Well, and I think on the opposite end, from what I've heard from like women and femmes who end up being lesbian, because it's much more accepted culturally for women to have aesthetic attraction to other women, I think that can delay a recognition of it's more than just an aesthetic attraction.
Because of course, if a man thinks another man is attractive, automatically he's gay. It's like you could just
even though men just have a lot of things they need to work out. Every time I watch sports, I'm like, you guys just say you like each other. It's fine.
Get it together. Like you cannot look at.
Have you seen those pants that they're wearing?
Appreciate those glutes, okay? Please.
I'm just saying, like
I was like, there's a thing on TikTok where people be like, man, I'm worse than the men. And like, I follow Lupita on all networks and I'd be like, Lupita, not you got a thing back there thangin'.
A big old dog.
She got a nyas.
That's a shell.
She got a thing. And I said, love to see it, sis. And that's where it ended.
Yeah. I think labels are something that like have been a journey for me. I was talking to Jess about this when we read it because I'm someone who like, I think as I've read more nonfiction, I've realized, I'm definitely like on the middle of a lot of things. And if I wanted to label things would be really messy, but I don't need labels for myself because I'm existing okay. Because most of the time my labels will lean towards the privileged version and it's like fine. Like, am I technically pansexual? Probably, but I'm with a male partner. I don't like think about it very much.
It's like straight passing.
Yeah. So it doesn't affect me and like in things like that. But my sibling, labels have been incredibly important to them in terms of their gender identity, sexual identity, and all that. And like, it took me a long time to realize the importance of it. And like reading this, it's like, especially with this book being like, you can use language, you cannot use language, but it helps people identify with experience, form empathy, being able to find people with similar experiences. Like there's a lot of pros to having labels, as long as like people realize this is all nuanced and we're all humans and like incredibly messy. Like, I don't know, like the idea of people fitting in defined boxes is absurd to me.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen because you just change. Like
literally, you were not the same person.
It goes back to even what Mara said. Like, I think I've always known, but I think it was the like masking thing. Like, I just appreciate that women are attractive, but it was like, no, it was more than that. But also, this sometimes it's just easier to be like that. But then also, if you just look at me, then it's like obviously I'm married to a man, a straight a cis heterosexual man. And so then that also comes into play, like, oh, I'm not really, but it's like, but I am really.
Yeah, that passive shit really gets you.
This book really helped me because I'm pansexual, but I'm only like, I only form romantic bonds usually to men, not women. So, and since I'm demisexual and I only usually have sex with people I'm romantic with, then that female side of me doesn't usually get to happen.
I'm not comparing people to puppies,
but like that's a
same.
But like I definitely relate to that though, because I think like because of purity culture, the way, like in an ideal world, I would be somebody who could have like a lot of hookups, because that's honestly probably like sexually what is most comfortable to me. But because of the way I was raised and like the purity culture I was raised in, I didn't really get to experiment with that until my 20s. And then that was like completely not comfortable to me. So it's like functional, or like if you were just going to look at my behavior, it'd be pretty easy to think of me as being ace for that reason. But it's more that the way I could express my sexuality is not something culturally or like through my nurture nature that ended up being something I wanted to really do.
Even though in an ideal world, you would be throwing it back on the regular.
Listen, I didn't say it, but
that's what I got with what you said.
Also, I don't know if you showed Laura's comment already, but Laura, I love your comment about the puppy comparison, because that was also like a chapter in this book where people were like, if you want to experience, imagine this show that we watched. And what was that show called where like we were just hyper comparing naked people on screen? Like, I wasn't watched it, right? I'm not making that up.
Yeah, but when she was talking about that, I was like, "Oh, this sounds terrible." I'm gonna try to find it, but I never watched it on TV. But I was like,
I mean, I haven't had cable.
What was it? You were just like looking at their naked bodies.
Yeah, you didn't see their face. You didn't talk to them. You
just
were
saw
literally rating them based off like.
Wow. Heavy on the puppies, even though I don't like animals. Like I went to see Black Panther the other day, a couple days ago. And my friend was like, "Oh my God, Techno's so fine." And I was like, "He's cute." And she's like, "Cute?"
I know when people are like,
"Cute," thing to him. And I was like, "He's cute."
I do really agree though with what Jennifer is saying, because yesterday I went and I bought a ring for myself to wear on my middle left hand, because that's like the sign or whatever. And it felt good. Like to me, the reason that felt significant was because it felt like I was making a choice, because often if you are not partnered, it feels very passive. And it felt like really affirming. Like I kind of went back and forth. I was like, who cares? Like, it doesn't really matter. But for me, it was like a way to symbolize and saying like, no, like this is a choice. Like this is not just something that's happening to me. Like this is who I am, and like this is the life that is good for me. So I definitely think that like labeling or like making things kind of like this is who I am or this is what I am can be very affirming.
Yeah. Also, not to derail this, but I like this is like a very good introductory work that helps people like understand things. I feel like if I were to give this to my mom, she would understand what asexuality meant. Is there an equivalent out yet for polyamorous relationships? I say this because my siblings telling me I need to break that news to the family for them. And I'm like, okay, I need to find some stuff because that one's harder for my family, I think.
I've heard more than 2. I haven't read it yet, but that because I'm just trying to understand polyamory more. Because
I personally have read a lot of fiction that I've seen really sweet polyamorous relationships. I have no issues. I'm like, oh, cool, you're happy, awesome. That's all I ever want from you, always. But how do I make my 80-year-old grandmother understand that?
No, well, that could be because. Yeah, I don't know.
Just get her you and your friends. Put her on TikTok and just like let her watch some people describe their polycules. Yes.
Because it's one of those things where I don't want to, like, the answer is not just don't bring it up. That's unfair. That's not, you should be able to talk about the people who make you happy in your life to your family. That's, I don't know.
You should be. Sometimes it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, it's not dangerous in my family, thankfully.
Yeah. I'm gonna just, more. You said more than 2. I'm gonna look that one up because I see
that's what and I've not read it, so I want to disclaim that I have not read it, but that was what was recommended to me.
I'm gonna share it. I've read. I think did I only read 1? I've either read 1 or 2, and I was embarrassed to put them on my Goodreads. I should just do that. I should just put them on my Goodreads. Whatever.
That was me when I first started reading, because I'm about to tell you right now. This should be a perfect example of why I should have known at that moment that I was ace. But in 2017, the year was 2017, and I was thick on the internet finding like, why do I'm not having enjoyable sex with other people? I was reading so many books about like how these women are having good sex with men. And I was reading so many, and I was just like, this is all trash. Like, none of this is like giving to the meat and the bones of what I need. And then I was too embarrassed to put them on my my Goodreads because I was afraid that people are gonna then know that I don't enjoy having sex with men.
That's what the one I read was Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel is the one I read.
That is a provocative title.
That is very provocative.
Oh, I've heard of her. Isn't she like a sex therapist?
Yeah, she's big in that. But it was just talking about like, I don't know, talking about the how monogamy isn't always natural to people and like different things. That's the one I read. I really liked it. But I don't know if that's a great like introduction piece, but I haven't come across because I tried to read one and it came out earlier this year, I think, but it was more her memoir. And she was in like a not healthy relationship, like kind of open relationship. I didn't like that one. So I've been looking. If anyone else has Rex, I would love.
I mean, that was like a thing. Yeah.
I was just say someone said The Ethical Slut, which I have
that's been on my list too.
Yeah.
3.9 rating on the Goodreads.
Slut.
I'm putting me first now.
Oh, yeah. Everybody go up find movies like that. Let me know because my family responds best to facts or like knowledge. They thankfully, if I give them knowledge, most of them that I care about will respond.
Yes, this is actually the title: Mating in Captivity, Reconciling the Erotic and the Domestic. That's the
and the title's also the title is like such a sad rom-com.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. But The Ethical Slut, okay, I'm gonna write that down.
That is one I keep meaning to read. I really should.
In
another life, that would have been me.
Yes. I just get mad that I had all these revelations about sexuality and stuff like this after I was in a long-term relationship. I'm like, this is whack. Okay, yeah. I could have been in the street.
It didn't serve you. You can't throw it back now.
I mean, I'm trying to get him to read. We've had discussions about
you need to get him to read more than 2 and then see.
I'm like, it's not a no, but we're not there yet. But the internet don't need to know no more than that. All right, thank you.
Now that you bring it up, I really should have gotten like a sign of this when I was a senior in college, because that's when I wasn't in a relationship and I was kind of like playing the fields and I was like having such a boring time. I was just like, because like I don't like having sex without the romance. It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Well, and this is where like I know we always joke, those of us who have the misfortune of only being attracted to men sexually, we always joke about how jealous we are of people who are also attracted to femmes and women. And like I wish that I was, because I think that I just don't think that hookups with men are necessarily as satisfying as it sounds like hookups with women are. So
really it's
I'm sure like hashtag not all men. I'm sure that there are some who know how to make it happen in a casual context. But
do they? I feel like me and my vibrator are great.
Yeah,
great team we are.
Yeah.
Great team. Okay, I'm trying to write this.
3 dads and a baby.
That sounds cool.
But yeah, I mostly read about it in fiction, in like a romance or erotica or something, which I also like. Okay, hello. But because usually I'm like, why a love triangle when you could just have all? Like, why choose one?
Season, Chorus of Dragons, Pet. I love all of those. They all have polyamory. They're great.
I think it could work if you were not living in the same house with me, like we were neighbor, maybe down the street. I don't know. I'll work on that.
Everybody, I have some people that I know who are polyamorous, and like when they tried to do that with an existing relationship, it was like a disaster.
Yeah.
Like they realized it in the middle of a relationship and it was bad.
So I've seen a lot of people in or who are open to polyamory or in those relationships on TikTok, and then I was seeing some TikTok and they're like, why do people who are openly polyamorous always look like, because they always just
regular. Yeah,
they don't look, they just, it's like, oh yeah, you're polyamorous. And I was like, why do they look like that? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't even know what just happened.
But I think I would also argue, like, I think a lot of pushback I get from a lot of people with polyamory is like, I don't think I could do it myself, because I'm just like, I like just being with one person. If there were more people around, I would just be overwhelmed in terms of stuff. But like most people are like, well, it would never work out. That's just not how humans are. And I'm like, dude, two people things don't always work out. People are always failing at being in relationships all the time.
People are just different. Yeah. Like, I think it works for some people and it would not work for others.
Yeah. In a perfect world, I would be in a polyamorous relationship where I am the one that he sees once a month, and I'm in my own house or a joined house, and we are sharing the financial responsibilities of me and your other partners. But I don't want to be friends with your other partners only because I'm fucking so likable. I know this. I know this about myself. I've been trying to run from it, but I know that people see me. I start smiling and telling the jokes, and they fall for you, girl.
I mean, so much of this chat has been like, we need Brie as a wingman. We want Brie as our partner. That's a lot of this live show today.
She has a lot of charisma.
And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I can be a likable person, and I just don't want to deal with them and their shit. And I'm a therapist, and people be wanting to tell me their shit, and I clocked off. I logged out. I logged out of Zoom. I logged out of the Zoom. And I just want to zoomy in my crib. So yeah, I might need to be a mistress, but but the big thing is I want to be a side, like just y'all in y'all core polyamorous situation. And
you're like the offshoot.
Side. I'm an offshoot.
There's like the molecule, and you're like, you have like one bond. Like, that's not just like the main branch.
I'm not a part of the main pod, but y'all are still paying for my bills. Like we are together. If the Netflix is $20.99, that's split 4 ways. I'ma still put my phone on. I'm gonna give you $6 via Venmo. You know
the ethical side.
Yeah, the ethical side piece. I will say that was one of my main cues that I was realizing that the main attraction of having a partner was being dual income. Like that's
very nice. Is that something you're telling me?
Well, no. Hey.
But that makes sense.
I'm just saying that makes sense. That was an indicator. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's great to be in a relationship. I mean, you have like a friend who's always around.
Somebody that can cook with you.
Yeah, that sounds great. And for me, I'm like, and when I want some, I get some. That sounds great. Nowhere in that is romance. Like that was where I had to realize that is
it's a struggle. Difference. So I just be like, I just want to be an offshoot. And like you get no sex from me. I need you to bang the other ones. The other ones that signed up. Bend them over, hold them down, do what you need to do. I'm proudly happy for you. But we got to live in this system where we all play. They cannot call me. They cannot have my my personal.
But we are splitting these deals.
See, I'm too much of a hypochondriac to be a side piece. Like that, I would just be constantly worried about like. Someone's lying to someone, and I'm going to get.
I'm not having sex with them.
Mara would want to have sex. That's the difference here.
Yeah, that is the difference. I mostly am just wanting the sex, but I also am worried about getting
kisses when I'm drunk, because like my cousin says, when I'm drunk, I kiss everybody, and it's true.
Bree, we the same.
When I'm drunk, everybody gets these lips.
You're like someone's dream. Like I feel like there's a lot of people out here. If they were listening, they'd be like, "What? I am sliding in your DMs because this is exactly what
that is the perfect situation for me." Nobody slides in my DM, by the way.
Hours Too Short is describing it. Big house, 2 bedrooms. We eat together. We bake together. Like, this is what I'm looking for.
We have movie night. We have game night. Oh my God, game night would be
separate bedrooms. I'm like,
separate bedrooms. If I ever get married to a partner, we're having separate bedrooms.
Didn't Whoopi say she didn't want no man in her house? And I was like,
yes. As soon as I bought my house and like really looked around and realized this was my space and I envisioned someone in here, I was like, no. Like, you would be annoying me.
The TV stand console thing I want, what do I have to think about? This bulky Xbox, where I'm going to put that? I'm like, I can't be out. That's hideous. I got to think about that. In my dream world, I too would be in a polyamorous relationship, but they would not live in my house. And they would just be like a bestie, but also
a bestie.
The resty too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
saying? Not the resty. Not the resty.
No, I mean, like, that's like, so when we lived, so the cat that I'm sitting, when we lived with that person, I loved the 3 of us living together. We'd have like family Christmas and stuff. Like, I love this dynamic. I know we want kids and that person doesn't want to be involved with kids, but if you were, that's another parent around to take care of the kid. Like, just keep everything the same. He's like the sports person for my partner, and then I don't have to fill that role, and I can do other things.
Yeah,
there were a lot of pros. We could have a bigger apartment.
I mean, listen, I told Winnie the Bitch, who I talk about all the time. I said, Winnie, whenever you get a partner and y'all have children, that partner needs to know that I'm parent 3. What the fuck? That parent needs to know. That person needs to know, like, what you mean? We're going to make decisions as a couple, as a throuple, motherfucker. Like, no, as a group, we decide the schools. We decide what's going as a
we
group.
We are making these decisions as
what do you just got here. I've been here strong 15 years in the game.
That makes me think of a tweet I saw. It was like, it's upsetting me that I can't go on my best friend's honeymoon with them. Like, we've been through so much.
I'm going to hate that. I'm gonna hate that.
Also, Jess, you had me so scared about Chris Evans the other day. I thought he did something
wrong. Me
too.
I thought that he did something horrible.
No, he did a normal thing.
No. 1, it's not me. 2, she's 25 and he's 41. Come on, Christopher.
They all do that.
I thought you were different. I thought he was different.
You thought he was different?
Why is somebody calling me on Saturday?
You thought that a man was different?
I know. And
you
also,
thought a man with power and money was different?
He couldn't be the other one because this one is boringly straight. I'm like, I ain't got nothing. Boringly straight. And also, okay, I don't want to. The only person I can. No, I'm not sharing Chris Evans. No, that would just need to be a monogamous. That need to be monogamous.
Listen, he's your side piece.
Yes, but he obviously is just like, oh, the other rich man, 25. Like, what are y'all even talking about?
No, 41.
25, 41, Christopher?
No. Speaking of like famous, so M'Baku and Black Panther, M'Baku, I just want to be hugged by him every night. Just
I want to lay in betwixt those thighs.
Those thighs are thick. And I just want to just lay with him. He better not take that peen out. But other than that.
Take it out, Winston.
Winston, hug me. If he hugged me, I would die. I would die.
That's such a mood, though. There were some like people in high school who I would have never wanted to date it. I had no like romantic things, but I was like, oh, but a hug from you would be so nice. And I'm not like I didn't like a lot of hugs, but I'm like, but you look like someone where that's a warm and cozy hug, and it feels safe.
I do love a good hug, but
that's also me. So be ready when I see y'all in person. I'm coming in.
I have gotten on TikTok trend where it's men showing their slutty thigh tattoos, and I'm like, I'm not mad about this. This is really the content that I'm here for.
Do we want to get back to Ace? I don't know.
Yeah, the book. Yeah.
Jess is on the phone.
It all makes sense.
Something that I was talking to Jess about that I think is actually really interesting and relevant to like our role in the book community is I've noticed, especially having like read a lot's way recently, and I talked about it on my channel, like we do a lot of subconscious things where we age down people if they have certain sexual identities or if they don't go through certain experiences that we consider an experience you must go through to become an adult, such as having crushes and stuff. Because I read a lot's way. I'm like, oh, this reads like a really fun, cozy mystery with fantasy. I love how everyone's getting along. And then I remember everyone told me this was like middle grade. And I'm like, I don't read a lot of middle grade, but I think that's like lots of ways a 17-year-old. Like, she's doing fine. She's doing exactly 17-year-old things. I love her best friend. It's okay that they're not like going to maybe get together, friends to lovers. Like, I don't understand. So I don't know if there are other times that you guys notice it, because I just feel like it's a subconscious thing. It's not like a malicious thing. It's just things that people do when they talk about books with that representation.
Well, it's like the comp sexuality and the comp romance, like comp romanticism, is real, I think, because I think that's a huge part of like what kind of bonded the online bookish community together is different like ships.
Yeah.
So
yeah. For a long time, I thought ships was actually like a ship from the Pirates in the Caribbean.
Same.
And then I had to get it together. I do think a lot of times I wish that as a society, and this is me going more meta than micro, I guess, but I wish as a society that we valued relationships that doesn't have sex or attraction in the same level as those that have sex and attraction. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like, I was talking to my friend the other day, Winnie the Bish, and she has 100 names, so I probably say 15,000 names for her, but that's just where we're at. And one day I told her, I said, the saddest thing is I know that one day you or I would be without each other. Like, and I'm thinking of death. And like, I was devastated. I cried for days. But like, in the culture that I grew up in New Orleans, they're like, what kind of gay shit are you doing? And like, demonize me. Like, you're a lesbian, you're this, you're that, because you have this strong relationship with your best friend. And I'm like, I will murder a bitch over her. Like, she is outside of my family. It's one of the most important people in my life, like forever. So to me, I already feel like I'm in a pretty strong, solid relationship.
Yeah.
There's no sex there, but I love her to death. So just knowing that there would be a day, I'm getting emotional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, like, I think actually I was.
Oh.
Well, piggybacking off of that, my one friend who was one of the first person I knew who identified as ace, because in high school she came out as ace. This was like in 2008, so it was like, I feel like before people were really doing it. And she's like a very curvy Black woman that's very extroverted, so everyone always wants to like date her and like wanted to be with her and stuff. And she really wasn't into it. And she'd get so angry each time any of us was in a relationship, and then we forgot to talk to our friends, because to her, she always hated that people would drop the important friendships in their lives, because to her friendships were everything to her. Those were the things she cared about the most.
Yeah,
she would call me out on that too, and I was like, okay. And so even though I still really love my intimate romantic relationships, I try really hard not to drop the ball on my friendships, because I'm like, that is kind of shitty.
It is.
Yeah, it really hurts my feelings,
especially in the beginning when it's so new and that's like all you think about. And I tried not to do that, but
I can't relate to that. But
in real life, that happens, and I always love it too in media when there's a focus on just a strong like friendship, because I'm like, this is a relationship, this is love too. I want those, like, I love a good bromance or a good just solid friends.
It's why you and I love middle games so much.
I'm like, oh my god,
it always hurt my feelings when I'm in a relationship with somebody, and then they get a romantic partner, and then they like don't fuck with me, and like, I take it so personal. I'm like, you want me to murder you in your sleep, you know? And like, and the thing about me now is like, I just try to, like, people that I know, like I'm in a relationship with, and they have my heart, my whole heart. I let you know, look here, bitch. If you get into a relationship with somebody and you say I'm gonna head out, I'm finding you and we're gonna talk about this. This dumb shit that you're doing. It's not okay.
Yes. I wish more people also, because I know me and Mara have talked about this, because it's like the thing on TikTok, the dude's like, what are you gonna do? What's your plan B if you don't get married? Or like
plan A.
All of those things. Or if like for some reason, if I got divorced, or like he died or something early, or because I don't plan on having children. And the thing that often comes up is, well, who's going to take up you when you're older? What are you going to do when you're older? I'm like, one, I'm going to hire somebody. And another thing, I always like talk with my friends. I'm like, my idea is like, either I live near with or in like a community with just like my besties, Like, yes. I don't envision myself ever marrying someone again. No, thank you. I would just love
join my commune.
Yes, I've seen
my one friend sends us our plan for the commune every other week. Yes, like, we could buy this, we could do this.
I'm like land.
My friends always laugh at me. I really want a commune.
Yes, no, like when they're like, it takes a village. Granted, I still don't even want children, but I've seen some people do that together, like friends move together and take care of their kids together. And
I know a few people have done that.
Yes,
I am totally down to move in with somebody and help them raise their kid. What? I'm a great auntie. That's the best role I don't even.
Yeah, you've enjoyed that. That's not for me, but I love that for you.
I love being auntie. It's like fucking. I just wake up and get excited. I'm like, oh my god, I got 17 of these little fuckers, and I got two. I got 2 great nieces. What? They're so cute. Like, hold on. Yeah. Y'all can't tell me.
No, that's really true, Beth. People really don't. And I think that's a lot of relationships. Like, even familial people, I think, approach parent-child relationships as like, this is the dynamic. That's it. And like, forget that there should be growth and change and evolution.
Leggings.
Yeah.
Look at my little chalky bunch.
Considering I'm like the only person in my like core friend group who's like even planning to have kids, I really should make them all live with me and help me take care of it.
Yes.
Well, it is a group. You know how many times I'd be trying to go and get my godson? He'd be like, God, Mom, you don't even know, because dinosaurs is this and that. I'm like, we're going to love it. We're going to do weird shit. People be looking at us in Target. I'd be like, I am your father. And we're getting fucking crazy in the Target. But it's all good. That's my little homie.
The heart holds many.
Yeah. But no, I mean, me and my best friend Bess, like legitimately, that is our plan. Like, neither of us are planning on having kids. She has a couple of other close friends who I'm good with, who I'm friends with as well. And like,
yes,
we legitimately have talked about, like, at some point, whenever we retire, we will move somewhere together and get like a duplex or whatever. Well, I don't want to tell her business, but basically she had this moment where she was like contemplating what would happen if her partner passed or whatever. And I was like, I don't know. I'd buy a duplex, like, because our cats don't get along. So we would buy a duplex. And we would just do that. Like,
exactly.
I mean, she's my person. Like,
she is.
I know that's like
I love cliche, that part in here, but I love people having their person. It's not. This is beautiful. Yeah. But yeah, marry again? I mean, unless it was a very rich person, very close to death, who was going to put me in their will. But other than that,
I don't know. I mean, it's been a process getting married the first time, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to do that again. So if for some reason no, I want to be with my friends. I want to be with my besties. And I'm like, we can.
But I think that's going to be very common in our generation.
Yes.
One, somebody was talking about like post-capitalism societal collapse, like that. I think is a part of it. It's just like a lot. I mean, many people can't even afford. Many people in our generation can't even afford to buy a house, much less like plan for retirement, etc.
Yep.
So like, I do think it's going to be very common for like interconnected. Like non-familial groups to have like a co-retirement plan together purely from like a money perspective, but also because I just saw something saying that by 2030 45% of women who are 30 or older will be single and child free. So like, it is very common.
That's me.
That it's not going to be the same structure now where it's like my kids are taking care of me because that was the whole reason I even had kids was to have someone to take care of me when I was older. Like, I don't think in our generation that's going to be as much of a thing.
Hold on. Sorry. Nigel is signaling he needs to go tinkle. BRB.
Oh, okay.
Not the priorities.
All right. Yeah. Let the dog pee.
How many blankets does one need?
I mean, it's Jess, so the limit might not exist. We're unsure. Oh, does that mean I'm in charge all of a sudden? I feel like, though, we've already kind of accidentally been doing the whole commune thing with, like, how people just longer and longer live in apartments with each other. Like, I mean...
People like going in to buy houses together. Yeah. People, like, getting bigger. Or, like, like you were saying earlier, people deciding, if I have a roommate, I can have a bigger space. Yeah. So, like, I just think that that's happening more and more.
Yeah.
Have you seen the 2 on TikTok? It's like 2 friends in the UK, 2 dudes who bought a house together and they've been renovating it. And people are like, are you guys gay? They're like, no, we're just best mates and we bought a house together because that's how we can
also in this economy.
Yeah. What?
Literally. That's what I'm saying. Just think about it. Netflix being split 4 ways. Hulu.
You can have every subscription service you want. You each are in charge of one.
I'm gonna be honest. That's my life currently with my besties Ben and Winnie. We split all services, so we can watch whatever we want. Yeah. But that's that. And our families need to be paying us back. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you know, it is what it is.
The also with the more women being single, and I saw, oh my God, on TikTok, apparently that American men they're calling themselves passport bros because they're getting passports for the first time in their lives, simply because they said like American women aren't ready for marriage and they're not loyal, blah blah blah. So they're gonna go get a foreign woman.
Toxic masculinity.
I'm like, so 90 Day Fiancé.
Ass as soon as she has her green
and everyone card. Was like, all the people stitching it are like, bye. I'm glad you finally got a passport.
What's
like
that, Mara?
Oh, this is a Tarte Marijuka Juicy Lip Plum.
Is that the TikTok?
Does it tingle?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But it feels like mint. It doesn't feel like the stinging.
I don't like any of that.
Yeah.
Trusted care. Like, I just hate the idea that you have children and the expectation is like, you will take care of me. I don't think people think about how
some people are not ready to have the conversation about how selfish they are.
Yes, and how hard that is to take care. I have not even done it and just witnessed a little bit of caretaking, and that is hard. Like, and to say, oh, this is your purpose is to take care of me when I'm old. I'm like, you know what? I'll work another job just so I can help pay for somebody to do that for you. But no.
No, I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff. Like, there are a lot of people in my family who I'm like, oh, you just had kids because people told you to have kids. You should not have had kids. Mm-hmm. That was not a thing that was a part of, like, a thing you were willing to put the responsibility into, the care into it. And, like,
we need better tax breaks.
Amen. I would love to be a dink purely from the money perspective.
I would like a tax write-off for Nigel and for getting my period. I should
get a tax. I have two children, two biological children. They are cats.
You spend a lot of money on these.
Well, I think my grandma always
feel like as a Black woman of enslaved ancestry.
I mean, that's a whole other.
I don't think we should be paying taxes, but anyway.
Yeah,
I need reparations in all forms.
Huge codependent. Well, you know how many people still? I mean, my parents, none of them are getting my business.
Well, my grandma always complains that she can't file as head of household because she's the only one in the household.
It's so annoying.
I'm the head of my household. I boss these cats around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if this is state by state. It's Ohio, which are we surprised Ohio's messed up? But is that shocking?
Exactly. Not to be lonely, like.
Also, most people who have kids do not be lonely are not the kinds of people who their kids are going to want to hang out with them.
I was about to say, like, I'm probably going to help my mom out a lot, but she's literally put zero pressure on me in my entire adult life.
Yeah.
Also, my parents, I mean, they're very fortunate, but their whole thing is like, oh no, like we saved up, we won't have any money left when we die because we're going to enjoy it. But like, we saved enough money to take care of ourselves. Like, that's not your responsibility.
That's my.
Somebody better take care of me. I'm gonna say it right here, right now.
There was I saw a TikTok and it was like a family. I think it was maybe 3 sets of parents, and I think maybe between them they had maybe 3 or 4 kids, and they all were saved. They saved money and they bought a property in France that had like an old house that they're slowly, obviously, they're restoring, and they're all gonna live there together. Like once I'm like. Right there.
They were living the dream.
That's the way to do it, I feel
truly, because I'm trying to get up out this country.
I'm just saying, anybody into my commune idea, I'm ready to skedaddle.
Yeah.
Wait, is that a word that's acceptable?
Skedaddle?
I didn't know it wasn't anymore, but I sometimes don't notice when words that I've read in literature go bad.
Same.
When we all discover where they came from.
I need to make my commune diverse though, because I can't sew. Like I need somebody who's more like.
I can knit, crochet. I can sew. I'm actually very good with textiles.
See, we love this.
Okay, skedaddle is from the American Civil War. Military slang of unknown origin, perhaps connected to earlier use in Northern England dialect with a meaning to spill. Okay, so it does come from the Civil War, but it doesn't seem like it's overtly a problem.
Okay,
it doesn't have a racial connotation.
When my aunt told me about the origin of picnic.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
I said this is crap.
The Peanut Gallery, that's one.
So many.
So many.
I remember when I realized where gypped came from, and I was like,
yeah.
Oh no. I didn't see this, but still amazing. I love it. And people, I just love the people who are so dense, who are like, you're just gonna be like, they just think they're like, oh, you're just gonna be alone, and or they love to tell people who are gonna just like live with a cat. Like I'm like
that's a problem.
Away from people.
Where's my government issued cat? I said that the other day, somebody was ranting about Fox News because the red wave didn't happen. They're like, all of these single asexual women who are waiting for their government issued cats, and I'm like, yes.
Like, excuse me.
Where's mine? Give me my government issued cat. That sounds fantastic.
But it literally, with the way this economy, these recessions, the way these crappy these companies work, bonding together, even if you are married, maybe with other married people or other people with their kids and stuff, is going to be the way we survive, because we cannot make, like, I think it's funny. It made me think of when we were talking last year about
braiding sweetgrass.
Yes. Like how we don't have a lot of community, and I don't like a lot of people, but I do like some, but I think that's going to be a big way with how climate and everything in the economy is going, that we're going to need to rely on each other and really group. If it's not a big plot of land, even just buying a bigger house and we have more space, like you're on this side, I'm on this side, so we can survive and grow gardens and have food.
Oh my God, I would be the head of the garden. You understand? What?
Wonderful.
Put us in the southern climate. I'm your girl.
Okay, can we in this commune have an animal that needs to be herded so I can have a border collie?
Yes.
Because these are my goals.
Yes.
I would like
need at least 2 horses. We're going to need at least 2 horses. I'm thinking some Clydesdales, because they can push a lot of heavy things.
But I mean, that is something I think people forget about when they're so into like monogamous, like heteronormative things. It's like you care about 2 individuals and everyone's very self-centered around their literal nucleus, right? Like, we call it the nuclear family.
My children, my house, where it's like we have a better chance if we do things together. And obviously that's not always, people move different places for jobs, blah, blah, blah. But as more jobs are becoming more permanent, work from home, and you can like move around, everything just pisses me off. All these tech companies and stuff, they're laying off, but then they have posts for contract workers. It's like, y'all have money. They're just like, we're maybe not going to make 10 billion next year, only 5. So let's lay off all these people who only make this little bit, like literally the money to feed them.
They don't want to pay for the benefits.
Yeah. I'm like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
No, that's where I'm at my work. My work won't pay for any benefits for me. They'll just pay me at the level of a postdoc without calling me that.
Yes, you can pick the people, Kelly. We're not just moving in with nobody now. You gotta surround yourself with people.
It's not like a random homeowners association.
It's like with your friends or family members that
I'm
you
actually like a cul-de-sac. Like, I want me and my friends.
Like how Sister Wives were in Las Vegas.
Yes,
they had the dream.
Only purposely.
The cul-de-sac in Venezuela that I played in growing up was my goal, and I was so angry when I lived back in the United States. I was like, why don't we have these cul-de-sacs where people are just outside blasting music while the kids are running around? Why is that?
Listen, that sounds like a beautiful thing. Yeah. I also want to say, I forgot what it was. Never mind. I forgot. It went away.
It'll come back.
I don't know. I just remembered those days as like a 7-year-old, and then I came back and they tried to have a block party on my street, and everyone was so disconnected that it was the most boring, atrocious failure that I'd ever
seen. Yeah. I don't know. It was something about like selfish reasons, and
talking about.
I do think that I stepped out to go grab some nail polish, because that's what I do when I'm on lives. I paint my nails. But I do think that the focus on like a monogamous pairing that is romantic and sexual in nature, it is a part of like the selfishness of capitalism in general.
Agreed.
Historically, the extended family, like, at least all I can speak is from like sort of like an English cultural background, but like the extended family was much more a premium in the way that people survived and the way that people like operated. This whole idea of like things, the vision of like the 1950s as what was normal in the past is just like not true.
Yeah.
Like the modern nuclear family is a relatively recent development, And it is, I think, inculcates a very high degree of like selfishness and a lack of community and a lack of cooperation as neighbors.
Well, like, and then like, I mean, it's a whole other conversation. And maybe one day we'll actually read a nonfiction book on like something educated related. I mean, that'd be hard. It would definitely be more US centric than I probably would be fun for this group. But it's like people care a lot about their kids once they have kids, and then forsake any other kids in their neighborhoods. Like they don't even care about the community of children. They care about their kid.
Yes. And it's like, I pay taxes for schools, and I'm happy to do so, even though I will never have children. I don't want them, because like, that's a part of being in this community, in this neighborhood. And people are like the whole private school and like the charter school thing. It's just like, people don't, all they care about is their own kids. They have no care for the overall.
Yeah, like and if your school system isn't up to your like standards, well, how about you get involved with your school system and figure out what's happening? It's probably funding. It's probably a systemic problem. You can probably.
It's just like makes me think of these book bans when people are so worried about the children. It's like, you're not worried about everybody. You're worried about controlling your
kids.
And so you're going to make everybody else be affected by that. Like,
now I remembered.
I'm sure as time and technology and whatever progressed and people can move away, that contributed to stuff, because like a lot of my dad's side of the family still live in the little town they grew up in, and they live like, well, it used to be my grandma until she passed, my aunt, my dad lived here, my uncle lived here, like across, like they're very much central. And so when my grandma, she had dementia, they were able to like help her out and stuff. And so that's great. Like if you want to be around your family, but like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, whereas I'm like the weird millennial who's like traveling back to Ohio, even though I hate its politics, because I want to be close to home and my family, because I miss that idea that like of being close to like, you know, the other generations. But Bree, you found your thought. What was it?
Oh yeah, I found my thought. My thought was, I don't even know what it was connected to. We have been very tangential, which I love it. But if I ever have kids that come out of this body, which hell would have to have frozen the fuck over. But if that does happen, I don't know why. What made me thought this in comparison to what somebody else said, but I don't want to raise my kids selfishly. I want to share my kid with the people that I love. So my kids are probably going to be polyglots, because I want them to learn Arabic. I want them to learn Kiswahili. I want them to learn other languages that my friends speak. I'm trying to move away. They're probably going to learn French and Spanish, because that's a lot what is spoken around me. But you know, you're going to be at this person's house this summer, that person. We come together.
And they're going to be better for it.
They're going to be knowing I'm headache, like Tigrinya. Like we're going to share
that's amazing. And that's how you raise a kid with already like built-in empathy, because they've seen so many experiences, and they can like that's important. Like my high school, not a perfect place, but at least the 40% of the white people who went there like are not surprised when they meet a black person for the first time, since it was 60% black. Like they got to be dumbasses in high school instead of in the real workforce and stuff like that.
Well, and I mean, it's like what Bree's describing is essentially a one-to-many relationship from child to adult influences, but it also should be the other way. Like adults should not just be focused on their one kid or their one set of kids. Like they should be focused on lots of kids. Like I don't want kids. The only kids I really like are my nieces. But I think I care more about the kids of my community than half of the parents that are like in the PTA, because all they care about is their own kids.
Yeah.
And you care about all of them.
And I care about all of them collectively, even if I don't want to hang out with them individually. Yeah. Like I want them all to have access to things.
The way that people care more about the dogs in their neighborhoods and could name all the dogs they see on their walk, but don't know which kids live in, like we really.
I say this as an obsessive pet parent, but like.
I mean, I love my pets. My pets are important to me, but I would say that we should probably be more pro the youngest vulnerable people in our community as a species. Like we should care about them.
I think you have more empathy if a dog were to get hit by a school bus than if a child were to be assaulted by a police officer.
I'm not gonna lie, if we had some of those mass shootings happening at like pet shelters, I actually think something would have happened. I'm not actually really kidding. Like people really care about animals.
Yeah, because it's like their empathy hasn't been so numbed to animals the way that we have numbed our empathy to actual human children.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could just even point to obviously what Michael Vick did was terrible, but like, I mean, they threw they still don't want to let that go at that. But other things,
meanwhile, they're
Brett Favre with taking money from
beating wives, beating their children, and they're
talking about Tiger Woods. That's what we talking about.
That's just one of them. There's so many that
are,
have sexual assaults charges and domestic violence. And then even Brett Favre who took so much money from like a Medicaid or like some kind of program from the state, all these things. And it's just like, wow.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And I think I listened to a podcast recently. I like to listen to the Science Versus podcast. It's like a really accessible, like trying to figure out, like I think this week or last week they did like the male birth control pill, but recently they did what societal measures have had any effects on gun violence. And one of them was in California. They actually do like have these like red flag things that like will withhold someone being able to get it. And it actually has like red flags.
They have that in Canada too.
Yeah. And it seems to actually not prevent everything, but seems to prevent quite a few things.
That's crazy. Because one weird thing about coming back to the States is before we left, and we were and /are gun owners. I'm not against it. I do think it shouldn't be as easy to get one because I could go into a place and get one the same day and leave. That's obviously because I don't have a record. But I was like just walking in and I'm like, I saw a thing where it said something about limiting. They were like ending the limit on ammo or something. And then we were in Walmart. I just was like, it was just shocking to see it back again in just like the aisles of stuff and the kids at the counter with their parents and and I was like, can he read? Does he need to be up there with you behind a gun?
Can he read?
Like,
Jessica, get off of the camera.
But I hope we all can have our little homesteads, our I forgot the word.
Our little communes.
Yes, our little communes, because we are all we have because the people who are supposed to help us and
that's it. When we talk about intersection of class and this whole conversation, like the oligarchs do not give a shit about us, and like we have to take care of each other because they will not take care of us. Nobody is coming to help you except for
like, what do you mean you want affordable / should be free or very cheap healthcare? What? But then also, if you're sick, what do you mean you're not coming to work? Huh? Oh. Like, what do y'all want from us? It just is. I know we talk about this till we're blue in the face, but some days I'm just like, I just don't.
Having a job is so raggedy. It's just so raggedy.
Like,
I cannot believe I am stuck in this situation.
I can keep my lights on and I can have water. And then some people still pay those things and they don't even have clean water. They don't have functioning. I was looking at the race. So I'm still registered in South Carolina. So I voted in South Carolina, not like it matter, but Louisiana's election results. I mean, so I don't know if I sent it to y'all, but one of the dudes who was running for Senate, one of his ad campaigns was like basically talking about how libs hate the police and blah, blah, blah.
I'm embarrassed.
And he was like,
don't be hateable.
The next time they're like, they disregard police. So next time you need a police officer, call a crackhead. He won by 61%.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
sounds about right.
I'm sure it was the white women. I apologize for
the amount I've never been a resident of Georgia, but Stacey Abrams, okay, I've been rooting for her to the amount, because they were like,
won if the whole country was
the black men.
I think maybe
it's the white men and the white women.
It's actually the white women who actually.
It's the white women who just.
It's the white women. Like, there's more of them, and it's not.
Well, and it's not even. It's that they are proving with their vote that they value their whiteness more than they value anything else.
They're like,
which is just like
access to
not aside from just like it being morally disgusting to me. It's also just like you are such a fucking dumbass.
Yeah,
like, you do not understand how this world works. No, otherwise, you would be far more angry.
Yeah. There was this TikTok today, and this black woman said, "Black women, white women are not your friend politically."
Nope, I can't argue with that.
Yeah,
and this is a smaller thing, but I always vote in Ohio because I've been a student for so long. And if you're a student with intent to return, which I do have, you can keep voting. And voting in Massachusetts is incredibly boring.
Yeah.
So I vote in Ohio.
Same in Tennessee, but for the opposite reasons.
So I go through my ballot. I've always voted absentee, and I read the things and I look stuff up. Like, I do all that stuff, and they put 2 issues on it. And both issues were literally trying to solve problems that don't exist, which is anger inducing to begin with. One was that you needed to post bail based off threat to community. It's like, we already do that. You're literally just trying to hurt poor and brown and Black people more. Mm-hmm. And the other one was people who are not citizens cannot vote in local elections. First of all, they
already can't.
They already don't. And also, why would it be so awful if someone with a green card cared about how money was spent for their local school? Why would that be awful?
If you live in a community, you should have some kind of say. I don't know exactly what, but you should have some kind of say over what's going on. That feels pretty reasonable.
But and we're like a 55-45 red to blue state these days. So like red enough that you pretty much can never fight it for Congress or anything. But still, like, there's a lot of Democrats. 78 to 80% of the people voted yes on both of these issues, and I'm just like.
I just be
lack of critical thinking that goes on in terms of thinking of how this policy would affect others.
At least you didn't have to vote about if slavery should still exist.
That my God. My ballot. I was like, I didn't read that correctly. Let me look again. I just get, and I try not to get so I don't have a lot of hope, and I try not to get onto the it's not worth voting, but sometimes
hey, if this midterms did not prove to us that voting does do something,
it does. But it's just
thank God for Gen Z. I'm just like,
they showed up.
I have, like I said, no desire to have children, so I want to get a tubal ligation. And so, of course, I'm in Louisiana. That's not going to be a thing. But I've seen on TikTok from a doctor, and other doctors and people have shared. They basically have like a Google Doc of doctors in various states that will actually do them. And I'm like, how sad. This is how you have to find, like. And he already knows. He's like, if you need me to sign for it, I'm gonna sign. Like, obviously,
send that to me.
I got you. But it's like we shouldn't have to. We have to basically do these like not black market, but still like behind the scenes kind of thing.
Network.
If you have endometriosis, having children is going to be a very dangerous process, whether you're ace or not.
Yes.
Like, can you do it? Depends on your endometriosis. Obviously,
20 years. Oh, and also that. People who've been incarcerated losing their vote. Are they
or the fact that Florida voted to change that back, and then their government ignored the vote of the people.
Yes.
And I have a lot of anger. I avoid a lot of political podcasts that I used to listen to because I can't be on rage every day. But
I just am in a zen place with it of like all I can do is vote and remind people to vote and just know that it's bullshit and hope that eventually enough of us
It's just, because so much of it is like, this is where I want to be ageist with, because we need some of these. I forgot what state, but it said dude who was like born before the invention of the cookie, the chocolate cookie, was just like reinstated or like voted or whatever. But because we have so much of these old people, but there's still people in all generations that are
it's being taught. People want to be like, oh, boomers, but boomers are teaching the next generation.
Yeah, boomers had
teaching the next generation. It is literally thought processes, and the fact that we even have to have conversations about somebody's lived experience is fucked up. It's just plain and simple
with voting. And because everyone, of course, then when it comes down to it, then I love the people who get on Twitter and they're like, well, these people should have voted. And they don't think about redlining and gerrymandering and voter suppression. Like, why is it heavy on the gerrymandering? Was not a thing. People have to wait for 6 hours to vote.
Yeah. If gerrymandering was not a thing, Tennessee would be purple. Because
the Ohio Supreme Court said that our maps are bad, and then the Republicans are like, but we have to vote anyways. And so now, even though, like I said, we're 55-45, that is not how our legislator looks. It's so
well, I mean, but like it's infuriating, and also people write off the South, and I'm like, okay, but if you don't do anything, you can't change it. Like that, and it kills me that Stacey Abrams lost, but her legacy is beyond that election. Like what she has done for the people
the Democratic Party,
of Georgia.
Yes.
And like that is possible in most southern states, because in most southern states there are enough votes to at least make it competitive, which is all like that's what I hope to see in my lifetime, is it being competitive. But like the reason that it isn't is because like people are gerrymandered the shit out of it
with the IDs, especially for older people.
And the IDs, like they tried to deny me the right to vote this time because my license didn't have the same address as what was registered, and I'm like, I shouldn't even have to fucking give you my license in the first place.
They denied me. Mara, let me tell you what fucking happened. I get to the online. I live in a very small ass town. We talked about gerrymandering and zoning and shit earlier. I live in a very fucking small town. Why are there 2 different polling places, right? So I'm online. I'm looking. It says you go online, you type in your zip code. It's going to tell you where to go to vote. I show up. They go, oh, sorry. Everybody could vote here until 4 p.m. the day before. But they changed it to a church just for literally this section of 50 people where I live. And then I couldn't vote. So I didn't vote.
What? I saw somebody in their car. They had been there since 5 a.m. waiting for the machines to be fixed. And they were just literally sitting there sobbing because they were like, I have been here for 3 hours. I've seen so many people come and go away because the machine is broken and they don't have time to wait. And it's just like, this is fucking... We live in an age where we have... computers more sophisticated than what put men on the moon in our pockets. I think we cannot get.
If I can file my taxes online, you can verify that I'm filing my taxes for the government online. Why can I not vote?
Why can I not vote?
Their exams. They check my damn whole house. I show identification, taking an exam for licensure for the state of Louisiana. You should be able to vote online. This doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
Or bare minimum, every state should have funding to have absentee ballots be pretty much the same, especially for federal elections. Because in Massachusetts, you don't have to pay postage. You literally put it in a mailbox and it's fine. For me, I have to put 2 forever stamps on it. And I have to make sure that was the right number of forever stamps.
Whoa.
It's ridiculous.
That is
And bizarre. They do it on purpose because they're like, let's put these hurdles.
I agree. Why do the marginalized folks have to say? I say the same
It's
thing.
Always us.
The other day, I was like, man, I wish that there was a Stacey Abrams in every, state in the South. But then I said, why the fuck would I put that on a black woman? Like, there's Julie showing up. Rachel Richards.
They were like,
need to be there too.
Stacey should run for president, or like Stacey needs to do this. Give her a break.
Doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah,
Stacey has done more than her fair share.
No, the Democratic Party just needs to be better. They screwed up huge in New York State. We really shouldn't be where we are in New York State. And also, they need to stop thinking that Latinas are all the same. Latinas are not all the same.
Twitter was like, I wish we could vote, but also say the Democrats are doing a bad job. Like, I would love to say, I'm still voting for y'all, but you're sucking.
Oh, that's why I feel like that's my right to complain. It's like, you're my boss. I put you there. So like,
you're doing terrible.
You fucking suck.
Yeah. I'm not happy with the current administration.
It's just, mail-in voting. No stamps needed.
Yeah, and like automatic registration. Like in Australia, you get fined if you do not vote.
Ooh.
Well, and like if they did, like, it's what's funny is, so technically I use a loophole in the system to vote in the purple magenta state I live in, because technically I've lived in Massachusetts for like a very long time. I should be registered to vote here by any metric, but they don't automatically register you when you do your taxes. If they did that, I couldn't do this.
Yeah, when I changed my address, mine is, I still have a South Carolina driver's license, and I have not lived in the state of South Carolina since 2015, but that's not the point here. The point is America's ghetto. I don't know how we ever change anything if the people who get to make decisions are the people with money, and once people have money, they seem to never have a soul. So it's like, how do we ever make long-lasting change?
I literally fantasize about winning the lottery and winning $1 billion, because do you know what I would do with that? Like,
tell us.
You would remember Mara's name. Like, I would literally just like go to the city planners of Nashville and be like, let's like blue sky ideas here. You tell me what you think we could do to make this a better city. And like, I would just be like, community gardens, free healthcare.
Yeah.
Like I would have such a good time.
Putting money on the books for children to eat, because apparently But apparently, I can't stand when I see stories of someone going in and paying off a child's debt for lunch. And people are like, "This feel good." That's not a feel good story.
That's the most depressing thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life.
The fact that y'all cannot. Why lunches are not free for children?
Sometimes
the most vulnerable people of our society.
We are the richest country in the history of the world.
We throw out and we so have much food.
Children starving.
Literally, and it's like, it's already hard enough. You're young, they're growing, hormones, blah, 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 to focus and learn things, and you want them to be hungry?
This is why I say that About Love by Bell Hooks needs to be a required fucking reading.
Let me read
because if it was a required reading, that we would not be having this conversation about fucking kids having to pay for lunch. You stupid dumb motherfuckers. I'm sorry to say it.
And then bring it back to the whole pets thing. People will put out food for stray cats before they even think about having free lunches for children.
1,000%. People will cry. And again, I say this as somebody who's obsessed with my cats. But the way that people and I'll call out white women, the way that I see white women like weeping over sad, like the dodo stories, but have no compassion for even let's even take children of color out of it, just like white children who are starving in Appalachia. Like they're so hardened and they're their parents need to take care. Fuck, who are you?
I don't get it. I'm like, take the parents. I'm like, okay, yes, they're adults. They've made bad decisions. Maybe
I don't care.
That's not always. But I'm like, but so you want that child to be hungry? They're like, well, their parent. No, I'm not asking you. I'm saying you want the child.
Do you want this child to go hungry?
You want them not to have health care. That's what you're doing.
You want them to not have a safe place to sleep.
They're like,
you want them to fuck you, fuck ever.
Yeah, why are we registering?
Okay,
this
anyway.
Became a rant.
Yeah, sorry, this became us all commiserating about election week, but it was election week.
We needed to get this out. Yeah. It's been on our
chest. I saw this morning somebody saying Republicans, you know why you lost, or why you didn't win the way you're supposed to? It's because you're mean. You hate, you want to be mean to trans kids. You want to be mean to women. You want to be mean. You're just, everything that you're for is mean. And I'm like, yes.
Speaking of children, why did Greg Abbott get real? I mean, I know Greg Abbott, but why did Greg Abbott?
That was the most depressing one, because I'm like, if Uvalde happened under your watch and you got reelected, there is no hope for Texas.
None.
Honestly.
No. But it could have been worse. Thanks, Greg. Thanks.
Oh, okay. You're overfunding your police to protect the children. Oh, wait. Your police won't go in. Oh, okay.
The amount of videos I watched about insulin, the mess with Twitter has been.
Oh, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Yes. I'm like, yes, let's make the more people lose money. But I'm sad because I love Twitter, but then also I want Elon to lose all his money. So it's just really, everything.
I feel bad for them too, but I'm in the same boat. There's Marsha Blackburn is my senator.
Well,
we have a dummy. I don't know who we just elected that replaced it, but it replaced our other Republican dummy. So it's we somehow can vote for Sherrod Brown, a really Democratic senator, gets 70% of the vote for some reason, and then we can't vote for another one. We're incapable of it. I don't know what magic he has.
Willie Nelson endorsed Beta. I thought that was enough. Damn it! But all of this, I feel like, comes back to asexuality somehow, because everything's a mess. And in this,
we're talking about how being asexual and aromantic does not mean that you are devoid of empathy and compassion for your community and your fellow man. I think that's how we basically got on this.
But the system will say you are, but don't listen to them, because we know ourselves better than all these labels, all of these outdated norms. I feel like, do what the fuck you want, as long as you are not harming people.
Live it up.
Harming children. Don't harm animals. Do what you want.
Yeah, I'm not saying I like us.
Yeah, don't harm animals.
Yeah. No. I'm saying, as long as you're not doing those things, that's what I just really don't get about so many things, so much hate towards Dylan Mulvaney that I've seen on fucking TikTok. You will never be a mother, bitch. Bye.
I will say, if a rattlesnake came for me, if it's me against them, I'm gonna choose me.
You said the rattlesnake? Oh,
yeah.
Dead. Yes, they're never, everything they say they're for in this free country of blah blah blah, they care about nothing but money. We all know that here.
Are we ever going to get some loans forgived or what?
I see Jesus did it. He forgave it all. So it's the burden. So whether
Jess has thrown her loans at the foot of the cross.
Hey, hello. Okay, I put that blood above my door. It's gone. Okay. So whether Joseph Robinette decides to take those, that's between him and the federal government. I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Not Joseph.
Joseph Robinette, please. Also, please do not run again because you look like you're 97.
Oh God.
Going on 110. He looks tired.
You better let him live.
But every year we have
very sweet grandpa energy, which I appreciate, but I just don't know that that's what I need in a president.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they did. But also systems in place that prevent places that actually they don't truly represent the state, but
there was once a podcast I listened to that discussed the idea of no longer having a vote, but you like pull things out of a hat and like so everyone's entered in and then people are randomly selected to serve for those terms, and you would suddenly have a Congress that had the gender representation and race representation of your communities. No one's actually good at voting for who's the best for a position anyways. Like we all think we know how to vote for a leader and like
we don't. And like some of these people, what are these qualifications? Like I do run in California and like all these celebrities endorsing him and stuff. And I'm like, please, what is he, like a real estate tycoon? No, also I'm so tired of dusty bitches like Marjorie Green, Taylor Green, or whatever that crazy hoe's name is.
Oh God, she is.
Their PPP loans. So I should have taken out a PPP loan to pay my student loans, and then they would have been forgiven. Make that make sense.
Yeah.
That would have been a real sort of like 4D chess kind of move.
Yeah,
I hope somebody did
that. Because I could be free.
Yeah.
You
could pay off the loan that can't be forgiven with the loan that can be.
Yeah,
that is brilliant.
I also feel like electoral votes. Don't get me started.
We can't do that today.
No, I am anti-state rights. I am anti-state rights. I don't like them. They should all go away.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you're in United States, all of this. It's too much. I don't want.
Our votes are not equal right now, which is just crazy.
No, Rhode Island and Wyoming, I can't handle it.
But sometimes I wish that I was that ignorant, blissful person who I don't know how these people really exist, who still is like, oh, America's so wonderful, and I'm just gonna work hard, and I'm gonna get everything I deserve. I haven't been that person since like 8th grade when I was like. Yeah.
I don't know when I was that person.
If I ever was.
When I lived in DC, it killed it pretty quickly because you see the people who are actually doing things in government, and it's like,
okay.
Yeah,
but that ignorance, just like sometimes. Well, not sometimes, all the time I miss before being on the bookternet, just like walking into a bookstore and just like not knowing anything about authors and just finding a random book. Mm-hmm. Like I missed some of the blissful ignorance that I used to have, but now I know everything is terrible.
Yeah. Well, it helped me when I realized that if life was a fantasy novel, we would be living in the evil empire. That was very helpful for me to just like, okay, a lot more of this makes sense.
But it's like the people with money, and like obviously it's like, well, vote with your dollars and blah blah blah. You can do that to an extent, but some things that you have to have.
I have billions of dollars to vote
Yeah, it's like, but how much even collectively, I don't think we have enough power to do that because some essential things are owned because the government and the lobbyists and the money, they're all together. So like we can't escape it. We can't vote with our, like, sure, for like maybe a smaller brand or something, or like, I don't know. I don't think you could even take down someone like, well, Kanye West has a lot of money.
You just have to spend that much money on elections. It's such a waste of money.
I don't get it. Where does it go? Like when they have to raise money for a presidential campaign, for what? Your poster?
For ads.
For the
ads.
How about you not get on a bus?
For their rent.
I kind of wish it was like, I don't know if it still is, but the UK used to have a rule where you can only like do ads for like 4 or 6 weeks before an election instead of like.
I'm so tired. I feel like because obviously it's every 2 years, but obviously they start very much in advance. And I'm so sick of the constant election cycle that we're in because I don't even watch TV. I've blocked, I have subscribed, but like marked as spam, so many phone numbers, so many emails. I am tired of
Exhausted. The
Herschel Walker, I'm floored. It was that close. Am I though? I'm floored.
Well, especially, I can't even go there because I'm just looking at who he was running against, and I'm like, Reverend Warnock is like a literal, actual minister of God. So white evangelicals miss me with voting because of your religion. Like,
another good thing that Stacey Abrams did, though, with like the 2 elections she was in, is now people know what a Secretary of State is. They didn't used to know that. People didn't know what that was when they voted on a ballot, and now they're like, "Oh, maybe I care."
Yeah, so just like getting people registered to vote, teaching, like incredible. But I hate being overly negative. I've always been more of a glass half empty, leaking with a hole. It's got a hole in it. But I don't know. I feel like if I get my hopes up about this country, this world, it's just gonna hurt more when I watch it crumble. So I'm just like, I would love to be surprised and somehow there's some turnaround. We get somebody as a president who actually cares and the system is repaired. But like, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, the president does, like, really the only reason Biden needs to stay in office is because like he's the least bad option.
And like the president was so close how he was against Trump, and it's like, as much as there are so many other Democrats I'd rather run than Biden, it's like,
like imagine having Trump during this Russia and Ukraine's war.
We'd probably all be
dead.
Incinerated. But he's gonna. I had a nightmare the other week where he ran in 2020 or 2024.
Oh,
and
he's
won.
Going to. But
I didn't figure out when
he won in the nightmare, and I was like,
I don't think he would have announced if the red wave had happened. If there was a red wave, I think that's when he would have announced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I also know that he and DeSantis are going to get into it in 2024, and I am looking forward to that mess. I think that will be very sloppy and fun. And I actually think Trump might lose the nomination for the Republican Party, and then I'm waiting for him to like flip on them. This is like my fan fiction of what's going to happen in 2024. I'm like, he's going to like flip back, and he's going to be like, Joe Biden, love him. He's like best man for the job, and it's just going to be like, what?
They're gonna be like, what? I
mean, DeSantis is also, though, a reprehensible person to have as president. He's the reason that those people in Florida can't vote, even though the entire, like, they voted.
DeSantis is like such a piece of shit. There's like not.
I'm like, who's worse? I starting to play the who's worse game, and in that, I'm just trying to come up with some realistic, somewhat financially attainable goal for the next 5 years to get myself out of the United States. I don't have a solid plan.
You let me know.
You say you don't have a PowerPoint yet.
I don't have a solid plan yet. I have many thoughts, but
if it doesn't work out for me in Ohio, I think Ryan can get his Canadian citizenship, and then I will be married to him. So then I think I can go to Canada. Not that Canada's amazing, but it's
why did I leave Canada?
Pretty terrible. Also, especially with like their housing, I mean, better than here, maybe. But I want off this continent. Like,
I like the Americas. My whole family are on the Americas.
You gotta be careful, Jess, because you gotta think about climate change.
I know. That's why I want to go north. I don't want to go.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Great Lakes. I was reading an article the other day. It seems like they're going to be doing pretty well in climate change.
I also was thinking, if I had to go to Canada, what about Nova Scotia? Or is that not?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, but there's not a lot of farming land. So like, careful.
I don't know that you want to live there, but I'm looking at like maybe upstate New York near Great Lake.
Mara, you're
near the border. If things really get crazy, me and the cats can, hoof it to Canada.
In my mind, of course, Norway is like my number one up there. Now I know racism is everywhere. It's just different shades of how subtle it is. But I know that. I acknowledge that. Okay. But I don't want to be. I definitely am going north in general.
Yeah,
just be careful because some of the northern places will still have flooding problems.
I know. So it's because Iceland, obviously, island, like things by the coast. I just where, because I told Andrew, if the military sends you again on their dime to Europe, I am not coming back to this country as a citizen. I'll give up. I'll renounce citizenship. I don't care. They can have it. You can have
You could invoke sanctuary. Just go to a Catholic church, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and just yell sanctuary.
Not leaving. Like all my family is in America. Yes, I will. But I have tried to live my life under what is going to align most and do so many. Like it's not like I never want to see them again. But we just don't align on everything that I'm like, I cannot ultimately place what is going to make me happiest on web like them. Like you have a different relationship with your family than I do. So I'm like, I'm good if I just saw you once a year.
And no, I mean, but that's why I want to move back to Ohio because I'm like, lots of farmland. We got a Great Lake.
What you talking about? Sweden is paying you to be there. Now I've heard about some Sweden things on TikTok, but I'm interested. Also, I'm trying to think in the realisticness of me being able to learn the language. So right now I'm thinking of French because that could be France, Switzerland, or Belgium. I liked Belgium when I visited. Norwegian scares me, but I've heard Finnish is like impossible to learn. So Finland's
out. Finnish is like in a whole different language. Yeah. It's not even an Indo-European language. So like I would rule that out. But I've actually heard that like Swedish, Norwegian, and Danish are all relatively easy for English speakers to learn.
I saw a like chart that had if you spoke English and then had other languages like difficulty, and those
French is not hard.
We're up there with French, but like because my friend sent it to me because she's trying to learn Korean, and that was like level 1000, and I was like, good luck. But
I like learning languages, but that's
I do too.
So I'm gonna need your help.
Also, Aaron was mentioning Michigan. I actually think Michigan's a better state than Ohio. Don't tell people in Ohio.
Everyone.
But because there's a rivalry between Michigan and Ohio, but Michigan still has way more potholes.
TikTok is trying to get rid of Ohio from America.
Yeah, well, it's because
like it's a whole meme right now of like
it's because we're the bellwether state, and if the bellwether state's crap, that means the country's crap. Which have we seen?
See, yes, right here. We got to look at climate change maps.
I ain't gonna lie, I did very much enjoy Germany when I was there. I do want to go for a longer stay.
Me too.
I enjoyed Germany.
I want,
but I'm really trying to go to Africa. I don't got time. I don't want to be. I'm tired of existing in white spaces. I've had enough. So I want to go to Africa. Drop me in Nigeria, Ghana.
The continent
drop me in Cameroon.
Climate change. The continent. I wouldn't want to live in Northern Africa and then the other place.
No, not doing Northern at all.
I want to visit, but I don't think I could live on the
mother. I think like Southern.
I'm doing it.
Maybe Southern Africa.
Drop me off.
Everyone just remember how large the African continent is. It spans so far.
It's the biggest continent in the world.
I don't know much about, like, obviously we know about South Africa, which I don't want to live in. I don't know much about other Southern African, like haven't heard as much about them.
We can talk about this after. I got
friends. South Africa has amazing cities. It has some, it has.
Listen, drop me in Cameroon. Drop me in Zanzibar. Yeah. Drop me in Madagascar even. I can hang out with my favorite lemurs. Amen. Drop me off.
But yeah, I don't Dutch. See, I know there's
climate change too. They've got all those dikes that are gonna fail.
I mean, there's literally board games made around cities like that and about floods. Like, it's not great.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, like I'd love to move to Maine because I love the coast of Maine. It's beautiful, but she ain't gonna be there.
See, that's the problem. I want to live by the water, but the water gonna be gone.
You gotta. See, I'm trying to do like 4D chess and like figure out where the water is gonna be.
Yeah.
Many speak French. Many.
So that's why I'm thinking French might be my best option. I feel like that's the most. Besides, obviously, English.
It's a different type of French.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. Like obviously. Is it?
You can also I'm gonna also point you to maybe close. South America, Argentina, lovely. Spanish, easy to learn.
Beautiful.
I already got Spanish in the bag.
I mean, I'm just saying Southern South America. That's essentially like going north up here, right?
Yeah.
I
mean, not fully in the bag.
I do have my basis in Spanish, so I could.
They have the best steak if you're a red meat person. Like the cow in South America is really unmatched.
Ooh, Rwanda. Ooh.
Yeah. Listen, Rwanda. Listen, Drop me off with my relatives.
So you don't want America, Angela.
Why does she hate South America? What does South America do?
I will consider
South America's just been oppressed by America.
Let me go to my relatives.
I want to go to like
my ancestors
Scotland.
spoke to me last week. They said, "Come home, child."
Scotland.
And I said, "Here I come."
Scotland was.
See, I was built for a Scottish, like the Scottish winds.
Yes.
Like I was built to withstand them. So I feel like that's where I'll end up, especially if they break away from England. I will be there.
We need to be free. Let them go, Chucky.
So have we officially left Ace behind?
Oh, I was going to say, are we done with our conversation? Because I feel like we've really departed.
I mean, it's been like 30 minutes of this, but I just wanted to check.
Yes.
Well, this is
yes, Senegal.
All of these books that were mentioned, I wrote down. So I'll just, I'll probably post in the community tab. I'll just write them all out. But this has been a lively discussion and one I needed to get all that off my chest. Thank you so much for being safe.
No, it was cathartic.
Do we know what the next book CommuniREAD is?
Yes, it is. Let me pull it up.
I haven't gotten it from my library yet, so this is a perfect time for me to put a hold in.
What is it called? Something. And if you think the discussion will be next month, you're kidding yourself because
2023, everyone. 2023.
Barely. 2024. Barely. Barely.
It's called Inferior: How Science Got Women Wrong and the New Research That's Rewriting the Story by Angela Saini.
We only read books by Angela now. We only do that now.
Angela said that's the new rule. So I will post that as well in the community tab. I haven't gotten it yet.
That would actually be an amazing book club. Is like you pick like the only books you guys read are ones with Jessica or Angela as authors, and like that's the only.
And it's been completely by accident. It's been really weird, and I don't even meet that many people with my name anymore because it's like such an old person name.
We need to start having like a book community once a month, or at least like we just need to hosted by Therapist Bree. I will pay you.
If y'all pay me, I will be there.
I will cloud source the payment. You got to let me know your rates.
I was about to say, I need to know people's rates.
I need to know your rates so we can cloud source.
Yeah, that's the one.
And now that your girl is, I got to turn in my paper, but I passed my test and stuff. So I'm like a second away from license.
What states are you licensed in? Just Louisiana, or do you have other states?
No, I would be licensed. I want to be licensed in a couple states. I want to be licensed in Colorado, Minnesota, Louisiana, and Georgia.
I was about to say, it sounds like Ohio could use it, and I'm not just saying that because I'm moving to Ohio one day.
I'm looking for a therapist right now. I'm like,
I just will say I'm not a conventional therapist.
I mean, that's fine.
I don't do stuff. I get it. You know, there's some founders of psychology, but they're white cis men.
Yeah.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. I just need to find therapists that are not white women. That's all I can find.
Yeah.
And a lot of my problems
I won't lie. My therapist is a white woman, but we've had to talk about things. So now she gets it. Because I would tell her something and she used to be like, I can imagine how hurtful that is. Shannon, if you don't come with the energy that I'm giving you right now, so now I'll be like, let me tell you what this bitch did. And she like, and? This is the same bitch from last week? This is the same bitch. The same bitch. I need you to match my energy because let me tell you, the way I be getting upset when my clients' feelings are hurt, I be like, and you talking to that bitch again? Like, this is what we're doing? We didn't learn from the coping skills of the last session that bitch ain't loyal? And we still gonna keep doing it?
I love it.
I will say that I feel like therapy is definitely something that is very needed for a lot of white women. So there is some irony that they seem to be the ones dominating that space.
Also, the reason why I'm against states' rights is why do you need different licensure for any of the states for therapy?
Agreed. So many states are so hard. Minnesota is one of the hardest states to get your licensure because
and I know the answer is capitalism, but I don't like the answer.
Yeah, I love this because I am so anti-states' rights. They get on my nerves.
No, I'm anti-states' rights. I want them gone. Like, I understand you need to break governments into smaller chunks, whatever. They don't need different rights, though.
No.
Yeah.
I just worry that if we went back on it, whose version of the rights would prevail. Now, if it's like California's, I'm okay with that. But if it's Tennessee's, I mean, we literally just voted to officially outlaw slavery. So, like, that's not great.
Might be jumping back a century.
Yeah.
I just, I need the Electoral College to burn into a pile of dust.
Immediately.
Here's the thing, as a fourth grader, when I was taught that, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And the adults all assured me it made sense. But no, it doesn't make sense.
It still doesn't make sense. I hate it. Well, thank you all for joining. This was amazing. And start reading Inferior, and then we'll be chatting probably in the new year.
It's on audiobook in Libby.
Hey.
It is. Right. I put a hold.
Toodaloo, my loves.
Bye.
Bye.